Welcome to Movie Corner, where I sit in the corner and talk to you about the latest movies I've seen in the theater. First up this time is A Quiet Place Day One. It was the prequel to the two other Quiet Place movies, where monsters search out humans by using their excellent hearing, though they don't seem to quite have such good vision. And so the premise is that people have to stay quiet in order to avoid detection by these monsters. The CGI was excellent, the acting was excellent. It seemed somewhat unique for a monster film. I definitely recommend it if that's what you like to watch. Next up was Despicable Me 4. It goes along with the rest of the films in the franchise. It's cute, it's lighthearted, it builds upon the universe in which these characters exist, and it adds new themes and plots where the main character has to go and disguise himself under the witness protection program type thing that they engage in because one of the supervillains wants to try and destroy Gru, which is the main character, and he obviously is now a good person with children and a wife and trying to turn over a new leaf, though he might have a little bit of difficulty in this film, and that's part of what makes it interesting for the viewer. Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1. Now, this was a Western, but it was also a poignant critique on American society and history and what happened when the European settlers met the Native Americans. It's obviously not all wonderful and happy. Some people might find it a little triggering or find that it rubs them the wrong way. It has a lot of different plots involved with it because it is a saga, and so there are intricate stories with various characters. I very much liked the film personally. It goes back to my love of history. I look forward to Chapter 2. Hopefully they're going to make Chapter 2. I believe it's Kevin Costner who wrote, directed, and starred in this film. Fly Me to the Moon was a little bit more lighthearted. It kind of played on a lot of people's suspicions that no one really actually landed on the moon, and it uses that concept to come up with an interesting story you may like. Maxine was a blast from the past. For those of us who lived through the 80s, you might quite enjoy this film. However, towards the end, it kind of got ridiculous. It is a horror film. It is about serial murders, not for the kiddos. And Daddy-O, which seemed very interesting in the previews. It seemed like a unique concept where this woman gets a ride home from the airport in a cab with a cab driver that befriends her and talks to her, and they supposedly have all these interesting conversations, but it basically turned into the old Talking Heads type of situation, and so it kind of lacks action and didn't really need to be a movie, I don't think. Longlegs, another horror film. I was wondering what the notes were all about. The murderer left some notes, and it never really explains why or how they fit into the whole story. Nor does it actually explain exactly how the murders are committed. And the families in the story kill each other, and they are sort of brainwashed into doing so, or there's black magic used on them, or maybe it's some sort of pact with the devil, but it's not specific enough to really have answered my questions. And I find that a lot of horror movies don't really explain that much because they tend to be all about the blood and the gore and the weirdness, and this definitely was weird. If you'd like to sit down and be disturbed, yeah, go and see this one. Twisters, which apparently is being called a standalone sequel. So it happens in the same universe as the original Twister film. There are some callbacks. If you have seen the film, especially if you've seen it recently, you might find that part interesting. If not, you still basically get a pretty good story where you don't feel like there are any inside jokes because you don't notice them. And it's got newer characters who are the same age as what the original characters were in the Twister film. It's got some newer concepts, although I find their premise about stopping tornadoes with certain chemical processes, I don't know that much about meteorology, so maybe it's possible. I doubt it. There's a lot that's just plain seems like nonsense. And maybe if you want to go and see a film to experience some escapism, that's great. Other people might find its lack of realism a problem.